Hey guys, we soon gonna talk about this week's NXT as we get prepared for NXT TNA Showdown. That'll be October 7th. We gonna talk more about the great and everything else on this week's episode of NXT, only here at the Red Carpet Ring.
If you come at the king, you best not miss.
Acknowledge us.
Hey guys, we back at the Red Carpet Ring. We'll talk about WWE NXT. Brand picks teams before Showdown. We're going to talk about this episode, go over the grade and everything else. Now, as we did get the show open, we're fresh off No Mercy. We had a brand new NXT champion, Ricky Saints, in a whole event, which was a decent event, despite what people are saying. However, let's get over and let's talk about the beginning of NXT. Now, we did get Ricky Saints come out. He wanted to talk about his big championship win, victory over Oba Femi. He said he fought for everything he had to do. He believed in himself. He said, you always got to bet on yourself, and if you do that, you will win. He said he won a North American Championship, and now he won the NXT Championship. Similar to Ethan Page's story. But either way, before he could really go into his promo, JC Jane, the NXT Women's Champion, interrupted him. She said, Ricky, you know, this ain't really about NXT, you or me, anybody else. This is something bigger than that. We got an issue with the whole TNA NXT because brands are fighting against each other. Now, as we know, this is where this episode is going to talk about the teams are being picked by the men and women, who the captains are and everything else. Now, this one, Ava and Santino will come out. The captain for the men's Survivor Series style team, it will be Ricky Saints leading the team of Team NXT for the men's. And for the women, it will be JC Jane being the captain leading the team for the women's. They got to pick their teams. Trick Williams is, of course, a part of Ricky Saints' team because he is the TNA World Champion, despite him still being an NXT roster, being on the NXT roster. And for the women's, for the TNA side, we have Kelani Jordan, the new TNA Knockout Women's Champion. And for the men's side for TNA, we have Mike Santana, because Santino said he don't trust Trick Williams. Meanwhile, we will have the teams picked. We will have Ricky Saints already, you know, it's him and Trick. He wants Javon Evans, since he had the fresh out win off Josh Briggs. The last spot will determine between Josh Briggs and Miles Bourne in a match, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Whoever wins that match will win the final spot for Team NXT. JC Jane picked her people. She, of course, it's herself, and then she wanted to pick Jada Parker, which she will get into in a second. And a match will be determined between Lola Vice and Fallon Henley. And she also picked Sol Ruka. Now, we're going to talk about Miles Bourne. He fought Josh Briggs in a one-on-one match for the last spot for his Survivor Series style team. Not a bad match. Not a bad match at all. Saw work from both men on here. It will be Miles Bourne that will go on to defeat Josh Briggs, and he will get the final spot for the men's team. Then also we had Jada Parker and Lash Legend, which actually was the first opener match. Jada Parker got her win back on Lash Legend. She defeated her. And with this win, made Jada look strong. She was able to get a spot on JC Jane's NXT team, which she will announce later that night. But other than that, let's talk about other stuff. We will talk about also that happened. We had Lola Vice face off against Fallon Henley. I think it's since Lola got screwed, as I still would say, at NXT No Mercy. Yes, I said it. She got screwed. She will defeat Fallon Henley, and she will gain a spot on the NXT women's team that's leading by JC Jane. But we did see a little backstage. We had Kelani Jordan talk to Jordan Grace. Kelani's questioning Jordan's loyalty, saying, you know, you are TNA, but you're on NXT now. Kind of contradicts, because Kelani, you're NXT and you're holding the TNA Knockouts Championship. But either way, she said her and Joe Hendry, they talked about, they had a little backstage segment there. But other than that, not a bad thing, you know. We also had Lyra Valkyria. She showed up with Tatum Paxley. I don't know why Lyra keep popping these episodes. Lyra, you are on Raw. I understand you and Tatum got a history, Tyra and all that garbage. I don't know why he's still on there. Like, you folks, you got a story with Bailey on Raw. Stay over there. I'm tired of seeing every week we got to see somebody from Raw SmackDown come on NXT. That's just my thing. But anyway, we'll get on to another segment that happened. We had Ethan Page come out with the North American Championship. He talked about the guy from AAA. I can't think of his name. He said you're not a real doctor, questioning his loyalty. And next thing you know, we have Mustafa Ali come out. He came out, and when Ali came out, whatever, he talked to Ethan Page. Ethan Page said, you better have a good reason coming out here and all this other stuff, and don't waste his time and everything for that matter, which I understand where he's coming from with that. And he also said too that, the reason he's out there, he said he never got his one-on-one championship match for the NXT North American Championship. If you guys follow NXT for the past few years, shortly before Ali got released, he was scheduled to have a match against Dominic Mysterio for the North American Championship, which never happened. And he said, it's been 700 days. And Ethan said, you can stop dreaming, you're not getting that. And Ali said, I talked to Ava Santino. That's going to happen at Showdown. And before you know it, we had Ali attack Ethan Page. And that was the end of that segment. So it's official. We're going to get Ethan Page defending the North American Championship against Ali, Mustafa Ali. Now, we had a little vignette package too. Another match, we had Hardy Boys. They're the TNA World Champs, Tag Team Champs. They're going to defend their titles against Dark State, the NXT Champs, Tag Team Champs. Tag Team versus Tag Team, both titles on the line, winner take all match. So we're going to have that going on. Meanwhile, we will get to the main event. Now, the main event will be Javon Evans and Leon Slater, the X Division champion. They will go on the team. It will be against the Calling, which is the team of what is his name? Nico Vance and Sean Spears. Almost forgot his name for a second. This was a good match. I've always said that Javon Evans and I would like to see Javon and Leon Slater in a ring together because they have very, very similar styles. And it seemed like we're finally going to get that because, that match is going to happen. They're going to have a match at Bound for Glory for the X Division title. These two worked very well, and Javon and Leon got the victory. Now, meanwhile, that will not end the show. The show will be the complete teams of both men's and women's NXT teams and TNA teams for Showdown. Now, we came down to it. We talked Ricky had his team. It will be Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and the last spot will be Mars Bourne since he won this match for Team NXT. We had JC Jane. She mentioned her team for the women's NXT team for Survivor Series. It will be JC Jane, So Ruka. It would be Jada Parker. And it will also be Lola Vice. Nice stacked teams there. NXT, they're going to be hard to beat. Meanwhile, we get to the TNA teams. We have Mike Santana mentioning his team. It would be Mike Santana. It would be Moose. It would also be Frankie Kazarian, veteran. And it will also be Leon Slater for the men's team. Also, we would have the women's team. And the TNA women's team, it will be Kelani. It will be also Mara Sade, formerly known as Jakara Jackson, and the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics. And they all had a brawl out, and that was the end of NXT. Shawn Michaels came out smiling as both brands were whooping each other up. But let's get on. We're going to get on to the key moments in a second. Now, the key moments happen. A lot of stuff happening on here. We have NXT TNA. Got the whole Showdown going up. Speaking of which, at the key moment, of course, we closed out this week's NXT. We have both brands fighting it out, reminiscent of the WWE versus WCW days. If you guys remember that back from 2001. And since we do have War Games for the main roster, it's nice to see that NXT is doing something of their own. But that's a good key moment. Then we got to talk about the matches. We do have the Survivor Series style matches. I can't wait to see how it's going to go down. We got some stacked teams for NXT and TNA. I got a feeling somebody's going to turn on somebody. We could get somebody going to backstab somebody. Well, only time will tell what's going to happen. This is a good match, which will main event the show, I'm pretty sure. Then we got Ali versus Ethan Page. They gonna tear the house down. Both men, they good characters, good story. So Ethan Page could possibly lose that title. Ali, and TNA needs some belts back to their brand. And then, this match is official for the North American Championship. Now, since both the TNA titles are on NXT people, wouldn't be surprised TNA gets a belt of NXT. I'm just saying. Then also, we do have here the tag team match, titles versus titles, winner take all. Hardy Boys may win that match. They do still have the match with 3D at Bound for Glory, but my rating for this show, 4 out of 5. Very good show. Now, I know I get a big hit on NXT about main roster people coming on, but this TNA thing has a good story, as a whole. Other than that, though, guys, that's all I have. WWE NXT brands pick teams before Showdown. You guys let me know what you think. Click the link below to check out the other content here, Red Carpet Ring. Until then, guys, you already know what it is at this point. It's OUT.